And you're welcome to our first big story this morning for Breakfast Extra. Now, in a recent development, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has issued a stern warning threatening to embark on a nationwide strike if the police detain their president, Ajaero, over allegations of terrorism financing. Now, this bold stance by the NLC comes after Ajaero was invited by the police for questioning, sparking concerns about the potential repercussions of this action on the already tense labor landscape in Nigeria.
Now, as the situation unfolds, the NLC's threat raises critical questions about the implications for the country's workforce and the economy at large. Now, with the possibility of a nationwide strike looming, the stakes couldn't be, higher for all parties involved. And so to shed more light on these issues, we have with us today Erupt Oguntuase. He is a seasoned labor expert, and he will help us unpack the complexities of the police invitation, the NLC's response, and the potential fallout from a nationwide strike. Now, before we get into the conversation, I must put out here that we extended invitations for an interview to both state level and national level representatives on the NLC, and both cancelled, especially the one for the state level cancelled last minute. So just want to put this out there that they also do have a right of reply. But let me get started with you. I want to say, Erupt, thank you so much for doing this with us last minute. And to start with this two representative turning down last minute, it begs to ask the question about, them and the press and the relationship with the federal government. Why do you think that they would, want to come on media and press to talk about, this situation, which, seems very tense?
Well, good morning, everybody, and good morning, Nigerians. Let me say, as a matter of first instance, that as a lawyer, I'm not holding brief for Nigerian Labour Congress, neither am I holding brief for the Nigerian Police Force. But be that as it may, let me start by saying that there is Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution that guarantees freedom of expression. So that means I may choose to express myself, and I may also choose not to express myself. So that to say that I'm not trying to look into their minds now, or that to say that they also have the right to say that, okay, they want to come or they don't want to come. But again, I believe in sensitive matters of this, it is only, with all due respect to them, responsible, to come and share their views, particularly considering the fact that Nigerian Labour Congress is a general union, and any activities that affect the Nigerian Labour Congress affect seemingly, Nigerian workers or employees as a whole, because they represent the interest of the employees in Nigeria, as it were. So I think it should have been on that premise that they should have come to also shed more light on what is happening, the current state of event, particularly given the fact that the citizens would also want to know. And the media is not the Nigerian police. The opportunity through which they can generally and mass reach out to the people is through the media. So it's also an opportunity to also state their side of the story. So I think they should have come, but at the same time, they have the right to freedom of expression to an extent that they have the right to express themselves, or they have the right not to express themselves. But I think probably if invitation is extended to them again, I wouldn't want to jump into conclusion or mathematical conjectures. So if an invitation is extended to them again, I think they'll be able to make it. So possibly, probably their schedule is very tight, to make it now.
Well, I'm stifling a laugh there because you're saying that their schedule is tight. But it was a bit too coordinated. It was very last minute. It was like I said, both parties were like informed not to, is why we were very concerned.
It seemed to be a gag.
Yeah, like exactly is the word.
Gag.
And I'm wondering, what could it be? Why can't we get that freedom of expression, especially from the NLC, whom we believe represent, well, the great population of Nigeria? What could it be, is the question, Ireoluwa.
Well, like I said, it's a very sensitive issue for them. It's a very sensitive issue. So they may think that for now, they don't want to express themselves. There are some issues that happen and you just think that, okay, let's just hold on for now. Because currently the police, they are inviting the president, the NLC president, and he has yet to honor the invitation. We don't know what is going, we don't know what is going in the secret or on the line implications of this or the reasons, they may have expressed. So for me, I wouldn't want to jump into unnecessary speculation. Okay. You think it's coordinated. Well, with the way they spawned the invitation, to come to TV Central at the last minute, it may seem coordinated to you, but I also think that they would have their reasons. Their reasons may be internal, in which they may not want to disclose now. But I think that if an invitation is extended to them again, as a responsible organizations that owe an obligation, to the members of the public, particularly to the Nigerian workers, and given the sensitivity of this matter, because they cannot go on strike. And we now say that it's not going to affect, the general populace or the Nigerians. The last time they went on strike and the economy was shut down, everybody felt it. So I think to this extent, I think they have a responsibility to Nigerians to explain their side of the story. I think they owe Nigerians an obligations to explain their side of the story and also to defend themselves, to that extent. But again, I wouldn't want to quickly jump into conclusion and start making indirect references as to the reasons, whether negative or positive, why they are not able to honor the invitation. I just want to believe that all is well with them. And I also want to believe that subsequently they will come and explain. And in fact, an organization like NLC should develop a good relationship with the media, because they need the media in explaining their objective, their plans, especially for the Nigerian populace. And also in matters like this, they also need the media to explain their side of the story. But that being said, I wouldn't want to address the reasons, they are not here today.
I have to ask about, let's talk about basically the invitation to the NLC President, Ajaero, and of course a threat to strike, or should an action strike, should the President, Ajaero, be detained. Let's hear your thoughts on just the turn of events so far.
Okay, so we need to take it from 7th of August, 2024. The police stormed the office of the NLC, and their claim is that they're trying to search for some document that relates to part of the things that they're investigating, part of the issues that they're investigating. And I think probably I watch it on, I think, Channels Are Right, where they interview the police PPRO, Mr. Muyiwa Adejobi, and as much as possible, he tried to explain what the police, was trying to achieve. But again, he also said that he will not be able to delve into the nitty-gritty of the matter. Now, that snowballed to this invitation of the NLC president. Now, let me say, as a preliminary point, that as far as the invitation is concerned, anybody can be invited by the police. The issue that we're having here is the issue of trust. We've seen the issue of trust and the issue of strict compliance with rule of law, especially I'm talking about the police over time. We've seen instances whereby police had invited people on frivolous allegation of frivolous charges. And we've also seen instances whereby invitation by the police seems to be like a personal vendetta. I'm not jumping into conclusion that is a personal vendetta in this case. But all these things will now give a cause for concern as to ask ourselves whether that is not the same situation in this case. And again, let me also quickly say this. I was very careful enough to watch when there is a projection, just like I think 3 minutes ago on the invitation on TV Central, there's a projection of the police invitation. And I saw that in paragraph 3 of the police invitation, I think paragraph 3, if I'm not mistaken, it says that if Joe Ajaero does not or fail to honor the invitation, a warrant of arrest, will be obtained against him, something like that. I don't think that is necessary, because invitation is simplicity and invitation. Judith, I can invite you to come to my house, and you have a right to refuse to come to my house. So if I believe that your invitation is not necessary, or if I believe that by reason of me inviting you and you refuse, I can get another person to invite, I'll get another person to invite. And the issue of obtaining warrant of arrest, is at the exclusive reserve of the police. They have the right to obtain the warrant of arrest, but by they including it in the letter of invitation, it suggests animosity, it suggests hostility. And all these things can also eat up the policy in this case. So we also need to understand that, for sure. Now, I've also read in the news, I don't know whether it's true, but I've also read that the lawyer to the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Femi Falana SAN, a very respectable lawyer, someone I respect so much as a senior member of the bar, I've heard that they're also trying to see whether they can get an injunction. I wouldn't want to conclude that this is true, but if this is also true, I think with all due respect, I think it may not be necessary to get an injunction now. I don't know, I'm not the lawyer to NLC, so I cannot prosecute or advise them on how to conduct their case. But I think if a police extends an invitation, to someone, an invitation is simplicity an invitation, and you just need to honor it. Now, the issue of fair hearing that is being raised pursuant to Section 36 now depends on how the police conduct its case during an invitation. And I'll give you a clear example. So let's say the police invite someone like me now, and I go to the police station. I expect them to do some things. Now, they wouldn't have invited me if there is no petition or against me, if there is no allegation against me. So I expect them to show me the petition, show me the allegation against me, let me read it, and I will respond to it adequately. So if they have any other questions they want to ask me, they will ask me. And that doesn't mean at that instance that I've committed the offense. Investigation may still continue, and I'll be released on bail. And anytime they need me, I'll make myself available.
Okay, Ajaero.
I think, but yes.
So my apologies for cutting in there, but we also still wanted to get more in on this conversation. Now, talking about the fragile state of Nigeria as it is right now, if the NLC was to go with its threat and actually go on strike, as a labor expert, what implications do you think that has on the current state of things and on Nigerians and the relationship between the NLC and the police?
It's going to have a far-reaching implication. I will not lie to you. And for me personally, I don't support strike. And the reason they even want to go on that strike is a very lame reason. For me, I believe it's very preposterous. Why would they go on strike on that premise? Let the NLC president honor the invitation. Now, the relationship this would also further cause a strain, between the labor and the Nigerian police on one hand. And this would also further cause a strain between the Nigerian labor, NLC, and even the general populace on the other hand. Now, we should not forget the fact that we just finished a protest right now, the end bad governance protest. What happened? NLC did not join in the protest. Notwithstanding the fact that the protest concerns or relates to the general citizens, they did not join. So the people will now be thinking that if you fail to join in the protest that relates to the general citizen and you seem to be representing, the mass interest of the general citizens or the Nigerian workers, as it were, will it now not be selfish for something to happen to one of your officials and you now want to proceed on strike? To a very great extent, I think that may be an abuse of power, particularly considering the provisions of the Trade Disputes Act that says that if that you can, yes.
I hate to cut you, but I have to ask, do you think does that mean that this call for, this threat of a nationwide strike is a knee-jerk reaction to what is just, as you said, an invitation?
Of course, it's very obvious. Yes, it's a knee-jerk reaction. They are not trying to hide it. They came out openly to say that if they arrest the NLC president, then they are going to shut down the economy. They are going to go on strike. And that is why I've said that this is not the best way to handle this. If anything happens to NLC official, the solution is not to go on strike. We still remember the Imo case. I spoke about it. When the NLC president, when there is an allegation that the NLC president was assaulted in Imo, and this same thing happened, there was also a threat that they are going to go on strike. So I think it is not the best way to handle it, in as much as a union, they have the power to go on strike under the Trade Dispute Act, but there are also some conditions that must happen or that may seem to have happened before they can go on strike. Strike is even regulated by law. So they cannot just take laws into their hands and say that any small thing that happens to any of the official, as it were, they're going to go on strike. Then what is the position of the Trade Disputes Act that regulates people going on strike? What is the position of the Trade Disputes Act and the Trade Union Act that even regulates the Nigerian Labour Congress, as it were? So would it be that, or is it that they are complying with the provisions of the Trade Dispute Act and Trade Union Act, particularly when the trade dispute in its sense has been defined as dispute between employers and workers, or workers and workers, relating to employment, non-employment, terms and condition of employment and physical condition of work of any person. So this issue that is happening, upon which they are saying they want to go on strike, does it relate to employment? Does it relate to terms and condition of employment of any person? So those are the things we really need to put into consideration. I think NLC needs to put into consideration, and they would also not want Nigeria to see them as a selfish body that is only concerned about itself, but not about the Nigerian populace.
That sounds very true.
What is the option of them going to the Nigerian court, to ventilate their grievance? NLC, as a trade union, one of the implications is that they can sue and be sued. So they can decide to go to the Nigerian court under the auspices of NLC, or they can also decide to go. Joe Ajaero himself, the NLC president himself, can also decide to ventilate his grievance by enforcing his fundamental human right personally, without prejudice to the fact that he is the president of Nigerian Labour Congress.
Erupt, would like to say thank you very much. You've spoken so well on this, and your insight is very valuable on this segment. Thank you very much, Ajaero Oguntuase, a legal and labor expert, joining us here this morning. Thank you again.
You're welcome.